When it comes to tier lists, we are going to do our own. How good are they at helping you build muscle? How good are they at helping you get losing fat? How good are they for your longevity? CrossFit longevity.
Are there people who can do CrossFit long enough for it to even be in the longevity category?
Bodybuilding is going to by default be a 5. Again, I just think of the stereotypical powerlifter.
Because you can still box squat. You can do a lot of these things.
You're convincing me. I'm going to bump mine up to a 5.
5? Building muscle. Bodybuilding. I mean,
bodybuilding gets a 0 for me for longevity because so many guys have died. What's coitus?
sex.
Oh, I think it will help with your muscle a little bit.
I give wrestling a...
If we're going to say it's about the same as natural bodybuilding, it can't go above a 4.
Can't go above a 4.
Sounds good to me.
You guys ever get those spam text messages from like, hey, babe, look at me. Come to this link and say what's up. And it's like some chick with some big old ones. And you're like, how'd you get this number? You troll.
There's a lot of weird texts like that. I get ones about like I don't know, like CBD and shit like that too. And dispensary things and weird shit.
It's getting really weird with AI. Especially for us three, there is more than enough information on the internet for somebody to clone our voice. But somebody could easily call my wife's phone and, they can pretend to be me and be like, oh my gosh, I'm being held hostage. Like, you need to transfer all the money. Like,
that actually happened recently.
Somebody,
yeah. You saw that story about like the old person who sent like $10,000 to somebody.
Oh, really? I didn't see that one. Damn.
Yeah, the person said they were in jail and they need the money sent. Then somebody dressed as an officer came to this person's house, collected the money.
Damn.
But it was because someone used an AI voice recording of their son or whatever. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, be safe out there. Have code words. Yeah. Safe words.
It's a far cry from the emails that you'd get of like, they need like X amount of money to free up more money that you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, wait, what?
Those were
all
good.
we need is your account. You're like, huh?
I'm the princess of Croatia. Yes. Or a Nigerian prince, some shit like that.
All right, what do we got, Nsima? What the hell's going on today?
Tier list, baby. Tier list. I actually saw this video. Let's just play this video real quick. We're going to do this better, but this guy did a great job.
A tier list, like a list that makes you cry?
Something like that. Something like that. If you're on Spotify or YouTube, you'll be able to hear this. And if you're just listening, you'll be able to watch this.
The training style tier list. Powerlifters realized about a year into training, they didn't have the genetics for bodybuilding.
Is that you?
They are strong though. So for that reason, I'm going to put it into B tier. CrossFit. I don't know what's wrong with people who do CrossFit. Are you lifting weights? Are you running? Like, what are you doing? Doing these things on the ropes? Like it's the monkey bars? You want to, I don't know. You look like an overgrown child, bro. Fighting should be an easy S tier, but it isn't. When you think of a fighter, you think of honor, courage. But good percentage of these guys just weren't athletic enough to make any of the sports teams at their high school. It can be seen in TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube comment sections projecting their insecurities. And if you're salty about what I'm saying, this applies to you. I'll still put fighting into the A tier. People who do only cardio. These people like to talk about how strong and healthy their heart is, but they barely have the strength to bring the groceries into their house. E tier. If you're a bodybuilder, you have absolutely zero flaws. You have a sick physique. Every girl wants you. And you're going to die at 40.
That was good.
And you're going to die at 40.
I would say on the subject of the fighter thing, I think he's way off on that one because the sports that have gotten really popular here in the United States, it's been over a really long period of time. Baseball's been around a long time. Football's been around a really long time. And basketball, those are the big three that we have. But fighting has kind of come out of nowhere. And it's really not that old. Obviously, people have been fighting forever. But organized fighting as it pertains to something like the UFC, I could see that if I was a kid now, if I was 11, 12 years old, I would probably want to be a UFC fighter. I'd probably want to do MMA as opposed to a lot of people were, they grew up wanting to be like a pro football player.
I get what you're saying, man.
But he's saying they're failed athletes and other stuff, and he has a good point. And Joe Rogan's talked about this on his show and stuff too. I mean, the guys that are in the NFL, it's not competitive. It's the UFC does not have the caliber of talent that the NFL has. It just does. It's not there yet. It hasn't evolved there yet, but it's getting close.
Oh yeah.
It's getting close, and there are some people in there, like Bones Jones, who had 2 brothers that played in the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're starting to see that transition. But my point being, there are going to be 9, 10-year-old kids that it's their dream to one day be UFC champion.
Absolutely. Imagine if DK Metcalf started off when he was 6 years old, training boxing.
That's
and
kind
all
of
this.
shit I'm talking about.
Yeah, that'd be wild. I wonder about the CTE long term of like MMA and like, because you see it in boxing already. You see long term boxers who took too many hits. MMA, you wonder. But when it comes to tier lists, we are going to do our own. We have a bunch of different things here. Andrew's going to be able to pull it up on the screen. And for those of you listening, we'll mention this, but we have all these different sports on the screen, from Pilates to bodybuilding to powerlifting. But we're also going to rank these on a 5-star ranking on how good are they at helping you build muscle, how good are they at helping you get losing fat, and how good are they for your longevity. We're going to average those out, and then we're going to put them on that table to give you an idea of what's up there. So, Andrew, what's the first one? Is it?
I just looked down. And I just saw CrossFit.
You want to start? Let's start with CrossFit.
Yeah. No, I just looked at it and it just jumped out at me.
There we go.
Okay. So CrossFit, for building muscle, how would you guys rank that out of 5 stars?
Oh, that's kind of hard because a lot of the CrossFitters look so jacked.
Yeah, but then people are going to say they're also on a bunch of steroids, which to be fair,
they already may have been pretty jacked. I'll just give it I'll just fucking give up and give it a number. I'll just say 3.
3? Yeah, because there's so much of a cardio component to CrossFit, and new people who get into CrossFit, they're trying to do a bunch of cardio at the same time doing lifting. They'll gain some muscle, but maybe not as much as a pure bodybuilder would. So it makes sense that for building muscle, CrossFit would be a 3. Okay. CrossFit, 3 for building muscle. For losing fat, out of 5. I'd say because of the cardio, because of the demands, the metabolic demands, I'd actually say it's a 5. I would put it up there at 5.
That's what I was going to say.
5.
There's gymnastics maneuvers going on in there too. So if you want to actually be good at it, you should probably lower your body weight via some things you do in the kitchen. Because there's rope climbs and there's handstand walks and all that kind of shit.
Okay, cool. Now for longevity, let's say for the average person, CrossFit longevity. I mean, if you're smart about the way you do CrossFit, you could do it for a long time, but let's be real.
You know what's interesting is I'm trying to think of are there people who can do CrossFit long enough for it to even be in the longevity category? Because you can kind of only do, and it's not just CrossFit's fault, but it is the fault of CrossFit in the fact that it has weightlifting, Olympic lifting, and gymnastics. Weightlifting and gymnastics just are not sports that you see people do into their latter years. So I give it a 1.
Yeah. I would agree there.
Can we go less than 1, or is it just 1?
We won.
But we agree on 1. Okay.
Yeah. So
all right, what do we got then? What is it?
We have that is an average star rating of 3 on the dot.
I'd like to maybe contend the muscle building a little further.
Oh, really?
What do you guys think about this 3? I know I kind of just threw it out there, but is it really going to help build muscle? I guess maybe with a couple newer people, right?
Think about even if you're new, you're doing cardio, but think about all of the training volume you end up doing. Most CrossFit, actually a lot of high-level CrossFitters and good CrossFitters, they'll still do some accessory work, but you're moving, you're doing high-volume squats, pull-ups. You'll build
lifting,
muscle.
Olympic lifting puts muscle on people.
I think it's a good base too, because from there you can take that to literally almost anything else.
Yeah.
It's a good point because if you are doing CrossFit, you need to be kind of proficient at some type of squat. You need to be kind of proficient at Olympic lifting. And in order to build out capacities for that, you have to do things that are going to encourage muscle hypertrophy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at a 3.
3 on the dot, and I'll keep these scores. So just put it in
not
3.
bad for CrossFit. That's not
bad.
bad.
Go CrossFit. All right, Mark. Which one can you see? What do we
pick? Whatever.
Okay. Nsima, you pick one. I picked one already.
Let's go to calisthenics.
Calisthenics. What do we got?
Building muscle. Oddly enough, I put calisthenics out of 4.
Yeah, if you could do calisthenics, if you can, because there's people that can do it at a really high capacity to where you're like, shit. I would think that I would probably maybe give it a little less of a ranking, maybe more like a 2, only because I think a lot of people can't do enough things with calisthenics. Like they might have to work on it for a long time. It might be a skill set that they might have to acquire, much like gymnastics. Like, could gymnastics get you jacked?
Hell yeah.
But could gymnastics get me jacked? It's like I need a while. I'm going to need a lot of training before it's going to like help get me jacked. I need like a good, really crazy strength to weight ratio, and I think that might be the case with calisthenics.
Yeah, I'll bring up James Smith. Do people who do calisthenics, do they get jacked because they do calisthenics, or do they do calisthenics because they were jacked? I forgot how he worded it. Like
the swimmers.
It fit. Sorry if I repeated myself, but like they fit the exercise versus the exercise fitting them or some shit like that. But yeah, I don't know, because I start, like, again, going back to like starting out and building muscle. I think it might be too difficult, like what Mark was saying. But then again, like CrossFit could also get too difficult, and I just said that was a good base. So maybe this could actually be a good base as well. Yeah. But I think it's pretty hard.
Is it possible to bring up like a definition of calisthenics?
I can try.
I guess calisthenics,
body weight exercises.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like, push-ups and burpees and
pull-ups,
squats and dips and just any body weight stuff.
Any body weight stuff. The thing is too, like calisthenics.
Yeah,
just like anything.
Little to no equipment on everything you guys just said.
Yeah, and to become good, like a lot of people can't do 5 pull-ups, right? But what do you start off with? Maybe you'll do banded pull-ups instead and do high volume banded pull-ups until you get to a point where you can now do 10, 15, 20 pull-ups. But once you get to that point, you've built a decent amount of muscle. So, okay, maybe it's not a 4. Maybe it's not a 4. You guys think 2? I'd say 2.5.
I think I'm willing to move to a 3.
You want to move to a 3?
Yeah, because like things like now that I think about it, like things like Hindu squats and all these different things. They're mountain climbers and
people do that shit for volume.
Man, but in comparison to, like, would you say it's just 2 notches below bodybuilding?
Bodybuilding is going to by default be a 5.
That's what I mean. So then this is just 2 notches below that.
Well, we got to take into account a lot of other factors, but other factors, like not in terms of eating and other factors aside. I think, look, man, if you're doing like walking lunges and stuff, I mean, was it Corey Gregory?
Yeah.
I mean, Corey Gregory's not huge, but he has a lot of muscle. He does walking lunges for like a mile on the track. His legs are shredded. I think there is a lot of application. It's a matter of like, I guess, being creative enough to try to figure out how do I kind of work like my hamstrings and how do I work. I guess a calisthenic for your hamstring could even be a sprint.
Actually, yeah.
Like what a hill sprint could be a calisthenic activity in some way, and I would think, fuck, that's going to build the crap out of your calves and your hamstrings.
Nordics, those would be a body weight exercise. That's a calisthenic type
GHR.
exercise, right? A lot of these exercises are hard, but if you do the regressions, you can build up to some pretty respectable
Herschel Walker,
prison inmates.
Yeah, mainly doing bodybuilding movements. Yeah. Or not bodybuilding moves, but calisthenic moves.
Yeah.
Andrew, would you be happy with the 2.5?
Yeah.
Okay, let's put 2.5 for butt building muscle, okay? Calisthenics, 2.5 building muscle. Losing fat, I mean, that's an interesting one. Maybe I would put, because we put CrossFit at 5.
You can't be fat and doing calisthenics. So.
Yeah, you got to lower your body weight.
Again, you're fitting the exercise.
Yeah.
Or the sport. Like,
do a pull-up at 400 pounds, man. You are strong.
You're strong as fuck.
Well, yeah. You could do regressions, and we're just fucking around here. We're roasting a little bit, guys, but
I would give it like a 3 or a 4 because of the amount of rest that you probably need when doing body weight exercise. Like, it's probably just a function of, because you're doing a body weight exercise, that you're going to like loop it into a circuit of doing something else. But I can envision busting out some push-ups, doing some walking lunges, and then maybe doing some box jumps or something like that. That would be really productive, and in my opinion, that would help you burn a lot of calories. And in my opinion, you would be probably burning some fat.
I'm happy with a 4. I think a 4 makes sense.
Okay,
so 4. Longevity, I say 5.
Easily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the more capacity that you have to be able to do these things as you get older, I think that would be a great test. I think a lot of the tests that you do see when it comes to longevity, they always test like grip, and they test a lot of stuff that the only reason they test it is because it's convenient. But really, if they wanted to test like longevity, they would test, you sprinting up a hill or your ability to do pull-ups and dips and things like that. And it would just cut out so many people, though, because if you try to have 80-year-olds do dips and pull-ups, there would be hardly anybody around. But that motherfucker that can do those is going to live for a long time.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
What's our total on that one?
3.8.
Okay, so that
Not
goes in front of CrossFit, right?
No, that goes in the 3.1.
Oh, sorry, my
stars.
bad. Yeah,
there we go.
Okay,
There we go.
So let me switch this up here.
All right, let's get a little bit exciting here.
Let's
Let's go to actually, Mark, you pick next. Can you see?
I can't see.
All right, let's go to powerlifting, your baby.
Yeah, powerlifting. There we go.
Let's pick powerlifting. All right. Okay, so for building muscle, I say 4.5.
I was going to say 4, yeah.
You say 4?
Mhm.
What do you think? Because, I mean, yeah, powerlifters, think about the stereotypical powerlifter. They're muscular.
I think even just the culture of powerlifting, a lot of times you're thinking bigger weights, and so you're going to eat a little bit bigger. And so therefore, yeah, it's going to be pretty high on the ranking of building muscle. I give it a 4.
4? Okay, yeah, we'll put a 4. We'll put a 4 then. All right, losing fat. Again, I just think of the stereotypical powerlifter, and I'm just like, I mean, it can be good for losing fat, but who's really taking that part seriously, huh?
Well, I think so much of what we're talking about here, gaining muscle, losing fat, so much of it has to do with what you do in the kitchen.
It does.
Power lifters tend to really, overdo it kind of on purpose to get that power belly going.
Yeah. I say
well,
2.
Yeah. Having more muscle, can help you burn more calories. So
it can.
I'll give it a 2. I'll give it a 3.
You want to give it 3?
Yeah, give it a 3.
You have your little bias for that.
Well, just because when people transition out of powerlifting, a lot of times they do pretty good, right?
Look at Maddie Forberg. Look at
able to lose weight pretty
they
quickly.
do good once they stop powerlifting.
Once they stop powerlifting, look at all the progress they make with their fat loss.
Look what was underneath that fucking sheath of fat. Okay. All right, so it's a 3 for losing fat. Longevity-wise, if you're smart with it, powerlifting, that bone density build.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know what I mean? That amount of strength that you've built through your lifetime, it doesn't just go away.
A lot of times people don't powerlift for super long either. So I would say I put it at a 3. It's probably not. It depends on your perspective, if you're being reasonable with it and you don't mind losing some strength from the time you're 30 to the time you're 65 or something like that.
Yeah.
Then I think I'll still be deadlifting, squatting, bench pressing for as long as I think I can handle it.
Same here. Just
so
depends
I'm
on the
be
weight.
Using some versions of powerlifting, and I could also see times where I'm still going for sets of 5 and doing some triples and stuff. So I think it's pretty good longevity wise, but you just have to be careful of how hard you're really trying to always get better with it.
You want to bump that baby up to a 4? I feel
Let's
like
do it.
if you're smart with that shit, that's a 4.
Yeah, and then also the barrier of entry is still fairly low, right? We see a lot of people. I forgot her name. We had her on the podcast. She's the older lady that's
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, what the heck? She has a name, but she's doing it well into her, I think, 70s. And I think, like I said, the barrier of entry is very low, because you can still box squat, you can do a lot of these things that like the West Side method, and you can still lift a lot of weight safely. You're
convincing me. I'm going to bump mine up to a 5.
5?
Well, because strength is never weakness is never strength, and also when you think about it, what is attacking our elderly people the most right now? I think people think that, they think it's just the muscle loss, but the muscle loss is a byproduct of getting weaker. People get weaker unless they do something about it. And the something that you could do about it is to implement some of the principles of powerlifting. Again, I'm not thinking you need to compete, but a barbell is a really good idea of some versions of bench, squat, and deadlift. Those are things that will keep your eye on the prize, and they'll keep you shifted towards wanting to maintain some sort of strength.
There we go. All right, so powerlifting comes up to an average of 4 stars.
Oh, hey.
It's our first entry. Oh, actually, you know what?
Almost.
So far left is going to be higher tier. There we go.
It doesn't let me.
All right, put that after
there
that.
we go. Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
That was fun.
Now, let's do, since we just did powerlifting, how about we do bodybuilding?
Bodybuilding.
Building muscle.
It's
bodybuilding.
Perfect.
Bodybuilding.
I mean, come on.
We got to give it a 5.
This is the first 5.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of,
5
unfortunately, I
across the
think
board.
that's kind of lost sometimes. There's a couple like things in bodybuilding that I think are just people aren't paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is like when you're in the gym, when you're messing around with bodybuilding, when you are bodybuilding,
Mm-hmm.
you're there to build muscle. You're not there to like burn calories. You're not there to like burn fat. You're there to concentrate mainly on building muscle. I think a lot of people go to the gym and they think, I'm going to burn some calories. And
That's true.
You can do some
see
of
what
that.
you mean.
You could do some of that. And of course, like when you're exercising at any capacity, you're burning calories. But I always thought the gym was for strength and the gym was for hypertrophy. I think that's where people should kind of spend their time, and that should be their main source of concentration, because when you're going to be able to augment the body and to be able to have more permanent changes, that's where it's going to come from, by having more muscle mass and or more strength.
Yeah. Bodybuilding is also something that honestly melds in well with literally anything. And again, when we're talking about bodybuilding, bodybuilding has ranges. Like, you don't have to be the person that's in the gym only like focusing purely on that. Like, if you're an athlete and you want to add some muscle, bodybuilding. If you're a fucking gymnast, you want to add some muscle, body. You can add bodybuilding to a lot of things. So yeah, 5 on building muscle. How about losing fat?
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because I mean, if we're talking about bodybuilding, we know it's not majority, it's a lot of outside of the gym as well. So, I know, Mark, you just said like we're not really burning calories in the gym, but like bodybuilding's a 24-hour gig. So dude, in my opinion, it's a 5
For losing fat?
Yeah.
Oh no, easily. Because like, think about this. There's a lot of bodybuilders that even on prep, they'll do minimal cardio and just increase their intensity of what they're doing in the gym, and adjust their nutrition to lose fat. So, while you're holding on to all this muscle, when you're losing fat, you're only focusing on losing fat. You're not losing much muscle. So it's great for fat loss too. I say a 5.
Yeah, I would say a 5 as well. And I think one of the reasons for it is that if you ever trained with somebody that's bodybuilding, that's serious about it, that's actually going to step on stage, they don't mess around. There's a lot of volume. There's a lot of reps, sets, and weights that happen in a short, condensed period of time. And it is hard usually. It's usually pretty damn difficult. I've been fortunate to train with Branch Warren and with Stan Efferding and a handful of other bodybuilders, but like Branch Warren, man, that guy really
He's insane.
Yeah, he's insane. It's a good way of putting it. He's fucking insane. He just really brought it, and I can't imagine, like, I did one workout with him and I was like, wow, like that felt. And O'Hearn, Mike O'Hearn, he takes his time. He doesn't like work out in these condensed periods of time, but Stan shortens the time period. But when you work out with Mike, I mean, you literally feel like a little bit bigger and stronger and like leaner from one workout. That's not exactly what happened, but from one workout session, the soreness that you experience, you're like, man, if I do this for 4 to 6 weeks, I'm going to be really making some crazy progress fast.
Yep. Okay. So 5 for fat loss. Longevity?
I'm still saying 5.
I feel like there's such a hard bias, but I mean, I do agree. Like, if you're smart with it, you can do that shit till you're old.
Bodybuilding gets a 0 for me for longevity because so many guys have died.
So we're talking about the steroid guys. Because like, I know, like, see?
Oh, shit, I didn't think about that.
You know what?
I'm not
When most people
laughing
think
at
about
this.
bodybuilding, that's what they think about though. Like, you're kind of right. You can bodybuild responsibly though. You don't have to take all the drugs. You don't have to do all that. But if maybe we need to slash it in half, because the steroid side of bodybuilding, motherfuckers dropping at 40, 45. But if you just do bodybuilding, you'll live for a long time. So maybe we have to give it a 2.5.
I see a lot of older people bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really good idea for a lot of people. I don't think bodybuilding has any negative health implications on, has no negative health implications on your body, except for when you're pushing to that IFBB level. And
all right, so we'll think about this, because like there's the people that push it to those crazy levels. Like
there's also contest prep, even for the natural guys, where you're messing with your hormones and stuff. But I don't know. I think that's pretty reversible, right? Like,
oh no, yeah. Even though when you get that lean, my test was so low when I was that lean. I didn't want to have sex. I didn't want to. My test was low, but like after 4 or 5 months, when I got my body weight back and gained a good amount of fat, I was back to normal. So it's not a permanent thing.
Right.
Give it a 4 for longevity.
Whatever the average of.
Okay, we'll give it a 4 for longevity. 5 plus 5, 14.
Okay.
14 over 3, so 4.6.
Where is it? There it is.
Yeah, we can't have a perfect. Nah, bodybuilding ain't perfect. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
It's close.
It is close.
It's fun.
It's something you can do all the time with anything.
Bodybuilding's fun. I think Andrew got like a little mini bodybuilding workout in there today, right?
Yeah, it was so much fun.
We just had a little bit of time. You did some biceps, triceps.
Yeah,
right?
I did all the fun stuff.
Let's rewind, guys, real quick, because I just saw that there's natural bodybuilding there too. So we have a distinction. We have a distinction, my friends. All right, let's rewind real quick. Building muscle, bodybuilding. We're talking, bodybuilding, normal branch Warren bodybuilding. It's a 5 for building muscle. Yeah. Losing fat, also a 5. You get to use a bunch of shit. Longevity.
0.
So bodybuilding, classic bodybuilding, as in the, NPC bodybuilding, gets a 3.3.
Damn, really?
Yeah, it gets a 3.3, which means right now it just comes ahead of CrossFit. Actually, no. It's between, it's Calisthenics. Calisthenics got a 3.8. Yeah, it's to the far right.
Oh, come on, guys.
Let's hit up natural bodybuilding real quick. This is kind of easy.
Yeah, I think you just drop it right in.
Building muscle?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it's a 5.
Fat loss. It's everything minus the health risk.
Natural bodybuilding's a perfect 5, baby. I'm sorry. That's just how it is.
Do you think there's anything negative just about like the training? Like, like bodybuilding and maybe not doing a lot else, like not bringing in, maybe you become like unathletic or stuck together-ish.
Absolutely.
And maybe that is a negative on the longevity a little bit. I don't know.
The negative. Okay. So, all right. So now we're bringing in a few different factors. I agree. If this is the thing, if all you do is bodybuilding
or powerlift even, yeah.
Or if that's all you do, even if because I look at my guy like Jeff Alberts, who we had on the podcast, right? All he does is bodybuilding. He's like 51, 52. You look at him, he looks great. Andrew, you could pull him up on the screen so people see what we're talking about. Like a lot of those older bodybuilders who only bodybuild and they don't care about jujitsu or running or whatever, even though they might not be the most limber guys, they're still walking around strong. They still have great bodies. They could probably build other capacities that they wanted because their body has been so resilient over the years. I do think you should definitely add stuff in, but this is Jeff
also
Alberts.
Keeping some good mobility via some of the exercises that are done in bodybuilding, stiff leg deadlifts and rows and pull-ups and all those things. Even if you're choosing exercises in bodybuilding, you can still maintain some pretty good mobility.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And us here, even though we love bodybuilding, we still talk about adding in different things so that, you don't run into the troubles of being potentially, you lack certain areas of movement because you focus so much on lifting.
Even, on the pro side of bodybuilding, on the non-tested side where you got, guys like Ronnie Coleman back in the day doing walking lunges in the parking lot with picture perfect form. He's in the knees over toes, ass to grass split squat position with a bunch of weight on his back. So,
yeah. All right. So that's our first perfect score. Oh, Andrew, can you go to, what this is?
Oh.
I think we know what that is.
Yeah. You're talking
Coitis.
Talking about sex.
Yeah. So, for building muscle, Coitis.
What's coitus?
Sex.
Oh.
It's the technical term.
Sex for building muscle?
Technically, increased testosterone.
Well, okay, so I was going to say, it can, depending on position, maybe if you're holding, her up,
working the glutes.
Yeah, that too. But what happens afterwards?
You're tired.
You're really tired. You're not really going to be motivated to, move more.
Don't want to do anything.
That's tough. That's really tough for building muscle, I think.
That's a 1.
It's gonna be tough to build. Yeah, it's tough to build.
Yeah.
It depends on how long of a session are we talking about here.
2 minutes. That's the average session of everyone who's here.
Brag about it, dude.
If you're involved in some sort of fuck fight type thing,
it was the best 2 minutes of her life. You better fucking chill. She'll remember those 2 minutes forever. All right. It's a 1 for building muscle.
It's a 1, unfortunately.
Losing fat.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess again depends on how long we're going for.
If you're healthy, Let's just also give it like,
I think a 1.
oh yeah.
1 and change maybe.
Yeah, frequency also matters because like most people out here doing that shit twice a month. Sorry,
that's
guys.
not okay. Yeah,
Longevity.
Longevity.
It'll keep
it
you around for a long time, keep you happy, right?
literally
will.
keeps you around forever. Like your seed will go on and live.
Okay.
Yep.
This gets a 5. So 7
Keeps you happy.
Mm-hmm.
over 3. 2.3.
Oh,
That's unfortunate, but gets a
So, right
2.3.
That's where I've been going wrong.
It's
right.
So yeah,
just
after
below CrossFit.
just below CrossFit.
Could we implement some weights
That's-
while we're
yeah.
fucking? Like put on like a weighted, vest?
Yeah, use like this. A weighted vest would
The
be
neck harness?
amazing.
That might be attractive.
Or like some ankle weights on her.
The
You know, if
chains.
she's like having to lift her legs up.
All right, but let's be real. Honestly, I don't know if like
An
maybe
iron neck
I'm just-
as you guys are going.
I'm just not okay. All right, you guys know, like in all the movies, whenever like he picks her up and they're fucking going at it
on
all
some
right,
table or whatever, yeah.
maybe I'm just not talented because I've tried that and I've just been like, this is too much work. Just get on the bed.
Not only that, but like
Biceps
also
blow up right away.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not practical. Let's be real. It's
like,
great for the
working
movies, or maybe I just lack.
and then also like, okay, maybe they are wearing protection, but it looks like they're not. Like they finish and they just roll over. I'm like, dude, you just made a huge mess. Like, did you not just blow a huge load and like now that's just dripping everywhere?
Oh God, you have to
The
get
movies have no rules. Like they can penetrate right through blankets and clothes and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah. You're like, what the fuck?
Oh man.
All right, just below CrossFit. All right, cool.
Just below CrossFit. What's up, Power Project family? It's time to stop dressing like you're a fucking preschooler and step your game up by checking out Viore clothing. Now, I'm not one to talk. I wear a fucking pink hat that has a dog on it, but at the end of the day, at least my shirt and shorts are popping. So head to Viore because they have great stuff for your top and your bottom. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, you guys got to head over to viore.com/power project. That's VUORI.com/power project. And you guys will automatically receive 20% off your order. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to the podcast.
Let's hit a boxing.
Boxing. Okay.
Building muscle.
Fuck.
Boxing, you're doing a lot of stuff. You're moving a lot of different ways.
I think it will help with your muscle a little bit. There's guys that kind of like only box that are pretty muscular, but I'd just give it like a 2.
I'd agree with the 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Holding your hands up the whole time and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
A lot of activity.
yeah, no,
But-
fat loss.
Fat loss, yeah, I would say that you're going to burn a lot of calories doing that exercise. I'd give it like a 4,
Even just hitting a heavy bag.
maybe even a 5.
I would give it a 5. Yeah. I would
All right.
definitely go 5.
Let's hit up a 5 for boxing.
Yeah, if somebody
'cause
wants to lose weight, fucking go box for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
longevity.
Ugh.
Now training. Well, do we have to?
Well, I mean, it says boxing.
It says boxing,
Doesn't
so
say
you can't just
training.
say hitting a heavy bag. You're right.
Yeah, it's not fucking Taibo class. It's boxing.
Longevity wise, getting hit in the head like that.
Got to be a 0.
I wonder how many people that train for boxing that don't really get hit in the head much, you know?
It means you're good.
Yeah, yeah.
I can think of
there's that
one
too.
guy.
Well, I know like Casey, he doesn't spar.
Mayweather.
He doesn't really spar.
Mm-hmm.
They train all the time, but they don't spar. Like they'll get in the ring with each other once in a while just to kind of like, just to go through it. But they all agree, like, I don't really love hitting each other in the head. You know, like it's fun sometimes, but they don't like love it. I think if you do it responsibly, you throw some headgear on, I give it a 3 for longevity.
3 for longevity. Okay. So
Where are we at?
I would say the act of like messing around with some boxing has a net positive, but
Yeah.
getting bashed in the head's not great.
Not good.
that is not good. Okay, we're at a 3.3 with boxing. That is a tie with normal bodybuilding. So it goes right next to bodybuilding. Okay.
Okay.
All right. We next have long distance running. Building muscle.
Building muscle.
Hey, it's great for bone density.
Depends on how far we're going.
Long
But,
distance.
Yeah. If we're going, I guess, long distance being over what, 10 miles?
Let's
5
say
miles?
What's a half marathon these days?
It's a 13.
13.
13. Okay.
That's considered long. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
that.
would say
I think
that.
for most people going over like 5-6 miles, pretty fucking far, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And I think that would have a pretty negative outcome on their muscle mass if they weren't used to it and for a period of time.
Yeah, and if it's
And then
the
they get-
only thing that they're doing.
It's the only thing they're doing. But you could get used to it and you can handle that. Once you start going like 13 plus miles, I'd say marathon running and or long distance running, I'd give it a 0 for muscle growth.
Our minimum is 1.
All right, 1.
Okay,
1. Okay, so we'll give it a 1 for building muscle. For losing fat, if you're good,
Pretty obvious.
there aren't many. I mean, yeah, that seems like a pretty big one for weight loss or fat loss. If you're going to be good at long distance running, you're typically not heavy.
You're typically pretty light.
Yeah.
You got to make kind of a decision on what you want to be there. But I do think for some people just listening that maybe want to get into running, you should understand that there's going to be a time period when you first start running that you're going to be really hungry.
Yes.
And so you might have to, my advice on that would just be to do your best, like just let that play out, let that pass. It's not easy because you're going to be like, I'm running a lot and I'm not losing weight. You're going to be frustrated and pissed. But I would rather see people do that than to try to run a lot and try to be in a caloric deficit at the same time.
Yeah. It's the efficiency aspect of it. Like you get better at it, then you're not going to be burning as many calories because your body is better at doing the act. It's not going to cause you as much fatigue. So losing fat, what are we giving it? 4?
Yeah, I would say, put it at like a 4.
Okay. Longevity.
Man, I'm out. I don't know.
So there's, according to science, there's a lot of research showing that, like, particularly even like a marathon, a lot of these guys do have a lot of success with being around for a really long time. So I don't know. I find that to be kind of interesting because I think like running that far, I personally, after only doing one time, I just think it's kind of extreme. And I don't know who they tested, but I know Zach Bitter shared this with me before. I'm not sure if it's the act of like participating in a marathon and training for it that led to these positive outcomes, or if it's actually, people that have run 10, 15 marathons in their lifetime. But I do know that my uncle is 64 and he's ran in 38 marathons and he looks like he's 39, 40 years old. I mean, he looks absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So I would say longevity wise, I would give it like a 4.
Okay. It is great. Again, it's great for bone density. As you know, as you get older, like not only do you lose bone density, but you also lose muscle. So it seems like it's something, again, a lot of these things, if you don't take it to the absolute extreme, can be pretty damn good for you. So I'd agree.
Yeah, I'm cool with the 4 because I'm like the very few people that I know that have ran for long distance for a long period of time that are older. Yeah, they all still do it. And it's not like, like, oh, I'm in a lot of pain or anything. So yeah, I'm cool with that. So where are we at?
It is let's see. Yeah. So it's a 3 on the dot. And it actually, it's a 3 on the dot, which is a tie with CrossFit. Okay. Sex was a 3.3. That means it's in the table above. Okay. With bodybuilding. Yeah. Boxing, bodybuilding, and sex all came out to a 3.3.
We got a little bias on that one. That's okay.
Hey, yeah. There we go. I don't think our bias is shining through at all. Let's go to
next one.
Let's hit MMA. Okay. So MMA is a mix, right? Mixed martial arts.
All of the above.
For building muscle. I mean, if you got to get, I guess it depends on the type of MMA guy you are, but if you got to get decent at wrestling, grappling, boxing, all these different things, like even at the lightweights, you see that these MMA guys have some muscle.
Yeah.
Even like they got muscle. So, but is it great for building new muscle?
There's so much activity that you're responsible for. It's like kind of almost detrimental too, because the amount of movement you have to do. But I'd say it's probably okay to give it a 3.
3?
Maybe a 2. 2 sounds.
I guess we'll 2.5. I feel this is another 2.5.
I'm good with 2.5.
Okay, MMA 2.5 for building muscle. Losing fat.
Man,
I think it's 5.
Yeah.
All the variable movement, easily a 5. Longevity. I'm gonna give that. I'm gonna say a 3 for longevity. All the
I think that's generous.
You think that's that? Honestly, you might be right. All the hits, man. Like some of these guys getting kicked in the knee. Like if you're training MMA, you're getting kicked in all these different spots. There's a lot of risk.
It's tough. It depends on how you fight, right? Like Hoist Gracie, will probably be around forever,
right?
His dad was around. I mean, I don't think I guess his dad did some like fights too, but they didn't have like the fighting that they have now. He did a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments, I think. But anyway, I would say if we're just looking at MMA as a whole, I would give it like a 3 for longevity.
I give it a 3 for longevity.
There's some of the old school guys, like they maybe a 2.5. Some of the old school guys, they like abuse drugs and stuff too. So it's hard to know. The Don Fries and the Mark Coleman and some of these guys, they're they fucking scrapped.
Yeah.
They really dropped a lot of bombs on each other, and they.
Yeah, and I think honestly, like the verdict is out because these old schoolers, like we are still watching them, like watching them age. So like we don't know for sure yet. So I think that's maybe gonna save it a little bit, but yeah, it's tough. Where are we at?
We're at a 3.3. It's right there with boxing and sex.
Right
right there. 3.3. Okay. What's next? What's that say? Olympic lifting?
Olympic lifting.
Okay. All right. Olympic lifting.
I would say for muscle building, I'd give it. I've seen a lot of people get pretty muscular from some Olympic lifting,
especially the legs. Those legs get jacked.
Yeah, it's a little bit interesting though. It's a little bit like wrestling. Not everyone gets jacked from it for some reason. I would say 3.
I would say 3 too. You're going to build some muscle with the amount of stuff you're going to be doing with a clean snatch. You're going to be training squats too.
Super wide back from like all the cleans and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Say 3.
Cool.
3 for building muscle. For losing fat, if you're only Olympic lifting, it's weight training. I'd put it in the same as a similar realm as powerlifting, and we had powerlifting at a 3. What do you guys think about that?
Olympic lifting is even more is more often done with single repetition.
That's true.
Than nearly anything else. So I don't think you're I guess it's tough, man, because so much goes into every rep that you do though too. So you might only be doing 1 rep, but you also do a lot more sets. It's very common for them to sit there for half an hour trying to lift the same weight sometimes.
There's a high level of skill acquisition within Olympic lifting also. Like it's
very exhausting.
Not even taken away from it, but like to get good at a deadlift versus getting good at a snatch.
Oh yeah.
Amount of technique work you'll have to do. Someone entering into that, it's going to take a while for proficiency.
You can kind of learn to deadlift within a couple hours
easily
if you've lifted a little bit before.
Yeah.
But good luck learning a snatch or a clean in a couple hours. That ain't gonna happen.
You're gonna ding Olympic lifting and take it down to a 2 or 2.5.
But like the bar though, it's moving around you a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Versus powerlifting, where it wasn't as much, and we gave that a 3. I mean, I don't know. I think there's the explosive movement plus the strength component.
We gave powerlifting a 3 for fat.
Yeah,
I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. We gave powerlifting a 3 for losing fat.
I think because people are just doing something.
Plus, building muscle. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I got to give this a 3, I guess, too. At least
3. Okay. 3. Longevity, Olympic lifting and longevity. The people who stay in the game of it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for people to do for a long period of time. In my opinion, I haven't seen a lot of older people doing the sport. But if you can stick to the sport, if you're still able to do it, I think if you're able to do a snatch, like I think you live to be 100.
Yeah.
If you can do a snatch when you're 60, 70 years old, like you're gonna probably live forever. But that sport beats you up pretty bad. So I would say longevity wise, it's not something that you can just randomly participate in. Powerlifting, as Andrew pointed out earlier, super low level of entry. Bench, squat, deadlift, pretty easy to learn, pretty easy to do. I would give Olympic lifting for longevity like a 2.
There we go. I'd give it a 2 also. That makes sense. Okay, so Olympic lifting comes at a 2.6. And we had long distance.
Zach Talander is upset with us.
Yeah, he'd kill us. So far right.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the lowest, yeah. Okay.
It wasn't a 1 though.
It wasn't a 1. Hey, we have no 1s.
All right, wrestling.
Yo, wrestling?
Like coming off the top rope?
I wish.
No, not that wrestling.
Damn it.
Not professional wrestling.
I thought we were talking about like Ric Flair and stuff.
Woo.
I give wrestling a 4.5 for building muscle.
Yeah, those guys,
they're always jacked.
they're always pretty
All
good.
of them. You have to have the strength to get low, shoot, lift up another human being, stay on top of another human being, be explosive from like, yo, if you learn wrestling and you learn how to become proficient with that movement, they all got the traps and the fucking walking like this. I give wrestling a 4.5. Actually, I wouldn't want to give it a 5, but like it's a lot of them even look like bodybuilders, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'd give wrestling a 4.
A 4
for muscle building. I think yeah, a lot of the guys, a lot of the people that do it are super jacked. It's actually a really interesting sport. I'm kind of surprised that there's not a bigger push with youth, our youth doing it. Like, seems like a lot of parents are like, I want my kids to do gym. They're going to start out doing gymnastics. But if your kid doesn't like gymnastics, maybe you might want to try wrestling. I think wrestling is really neat. Like, what a cool thing to learn and to get over and to get past, to be that close to somebody else that you're, kind of in combat with. I think it'd be really productive, because I think it has almost all the attributes that gymnastics has. It's just different. You're wrestling with somebody else rather than being on a piece of equipment.
Absolutely. For building muscle, are we giving it a 4 or 4.5?
I'll say 4.
4?
Yeah.
All right, let's toss it 4. Losing fat, 5.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I say 5.
Yeah.
Like,
No question about it. Yeah.
Just the sheer work you see wrestlers do in training.
I never went out for the wrestling team because I was always like, that seems way too hard.
Yeah. I mean, they talk
man.
about like weight cutting and stuff, and I know it's a little bit different, but man, those guys work hard.
Those guys,
Those guys work.
Longevity. I mean, honestly, I've seen old guys who are older wrestlers, and they come into jiu-jitsu and they still have that base and they're wrecking house. I think the base of movement that wrestling gives you gives it a 5 as far as longevity is concerned. That's my opinion. What do you guys think?
I think wrestling, in terms of like helping somebody build some, attributes that are going to be great for longevity, is definitely really high. But it's kind of hard to move super explosively as you get older. But a lot of times it's only hard to move explosively as you get older because you are separated from your sport at some time. So I would say that wrestling is kind of low on longevity just because it's so uncommon to wrestle
as you're older.
Yeah, it's like, it's just not. I know like Eric is involved, and like he goes like to like a wrestling school or wrestling club. Yeah. Right.
Like, for example, I have to go.
It's kind of hard to figure out how to wrestle. Like, jiu-jitsu is everywhere now, right? But wrestling seems more complicated to me.
And anytime I've talked to somebody that used to wrestle or still currently does, it's always like a neck thing going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of just like lingers.
A lot of wear and tear, and maybe that's why they don't do it anymore. Maybe.
Yeah, and I was going to say the explosive movements and stuff sometimes can lead to some like just uncomfortable collisions.
Y'all are right.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It depends on how you do it, but the neck things, a lot of them have quite a bit of wear and tear, and that's partially because the style of training that old school wrestling training does is like really beat your body up. Like they run kids into the ground because it's kind of part of wrestling training culture. So we know you don't have to do that to get good at something, but that's kind of part of the culture. So yeah, what did you give it? You guys gave it a 3. 3 seems actually pretty fair for that. All right, let's see.
That puts us.
That puts it at a solid 3. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I guess all right, puts it at a 3. So it's at the top of that list too.
Think it should be higher.
I feel like it should. Okay, you know what? I feel like for longevity, I would give wrestling a 3.5.
Just to bump it up to.
Just to bump because like I like, it's just so useful. It's so useful. I mean, what do you guys think?
I think it's really useful too.
Yeah, when looking at this, I would 100%.
All right, so let's see. That would be a 9.5. Do my calculations. With my calculator. It's a 3.1. So
Right
it's
here.
Some like math person's gonna like comment on this thing, and they're gonna be like, "You guys fucked this all."
Yeah.
So it would be above. Let's see, what do we give boxing? We give boxing. It'd be right below boxing, and above sex. There we go.
Are you using the PEMDAS method or whatever it's called to make sure you get all the numbers correctly?
Dude, yes. And you know what? Sex shouldn't be there where it is. Sex was a 2.3.
Ah.
See? Yeah, see that's odd. So sex so far is the lowest on our list. So yes, it goes right there behind the
Bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, see? Okay.
Aww.
Good. We've cleaned this up. All right. Pilates.
Pilates.
Oh.
For building muscle,
I've never done Pilates, so I don't really know where it would stand with building muscle. I guess maybe I can just make a guess and say from what I've seen, I think it's like a 2.
There you go.
Yeah.
I would say it's a 2 also. Ryan Doris, we talked about him in the last podcast, but he's a natural bodybuilder, professional natural bodybuilder who's really dove into Pilates. And when you do a lot of the reformer stuff, you get a lot of muscle activation. So maybe you're not building a crazy ton of new muscle, but you are learning to activate muscle groups that typically maybe you weren't working or were fairly dormant. And that can help build a little bit of muscle over time. So for muscle building, yeah, a 2 makes sense. Pilates.
Fat burning?
Fat
Probably burn a
loss.
lot of calories doing it.
Yeah, I'd put it at like maybe a 3.
I would say 3. Yeah.
3.
Yeah. Okay. Let's put it at 3 for fat loss. Longevity. I say it's something you can do forever.
It looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you can do it for a long ass time. 4.
Mhm. 4? I say 4, 5. How do you guys feel?
I was gonna say 5, but so 4.5 sounds good.
4.5.
There we go.
All right. So 9.5.
That puts Pilates.
Puts it at 3.16. So put it behind MMA.
Damn.
Okay.
This
Let's see. Did we have MMA? We had MMA at a 3.3. Okay. Good. Good.
Cool.
This list is
Strongman.
Strongman training.
Oh, hey now. Muscle building?
You can't be weak and do strongman.
Those guys have to be really big.
You gotta be
Gotta
thick.
have muscle to be strong.
Yep.
Yeah.
I say 5.
I agree with that.
I was gonna say 4. Because bodybuilding is
That's true.
specifically for building muscle. And strongman's not. It's more of a performance thing. But a side effect is you're going to build some muscle. So
Yeah.
I'll say 4 because it's a fuck ton of weight and like some really interesting movements.
Let's stick 4.5 on that B then.
Okay.
Yeah. There are a lot of movements in strongman are like they're good for movement, like the yoke walk or the like walking with an Atlas stone. Having to walk in that position, it's tough.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's give it a 4.5. How do you guys feel about that?
For
4?
fat, yeah.
For muscle building.
4.5 sounds good.
Okay.
4.5 for losing fat.
It's tough because the strongmen are big,
Yeah.
but what you just said, yoke walk, like, man, you're burning a lot of calories because it's your body weight plus whatever the heck, like, and some of these weights get ridiculous. I mean, 10 steps and like, who knows how much you're burning.
Yeah. And you can be very fit while doing strongman training. I know like we think of the Brian Shaw, the Eddie Halls, but you don't have to be that big to do and be proficient at strongman.
Yeah, there's also John Anderson, and there was Mariusz Pujanowski. Some guys that were pretty damn lean.
Yeah.
It seems like it burns a crazy amount of calories. One of the things that's difficult with strongman is just getting the implements themselves and to like utilize them. These guys usually utilize, because strongman is so brutal, they usually only do strongman style training like 1 time per week. They do things that kind of match up with what they're asked to do, like on game day. And the rest of their participation is just like in the gym, doing normal reps and sets.
Yeah, if we can separate the in and out, so the outs, right, like calories burned during one of these workouts is insane. But these guys' caloric intake is, dude, I watched Brian Shaw kill, I think it was like 20,000 calories in a day. Like it's a lot because they do a lot. So if you can separate those two, yes, it burns a lot. It's just that they need a lot of energy to do this.
Need a lot of fuel to lift the weights that they're asked to lift at some of these contests.
But if you're trying to give advice for somebody to drop fat, I don't know. I would a 4.
Yeah, I would agree with I think a 4 is fair.
Yes.
If I'm thinking about like programming for somebody, which is a good way to look at it, you're programming some bodybuilding and some powerlifting, and occasionally you say, hey, do a farmer's carry. Like I'm thinking the farmer's carry is kind of the fat shaming part of the workout, as Jesse Burdick would put it, right?
Okay, so now what do we think for longevity? With the nature of the movements, I think it can be something great to do as you get older, like the nature of like having to hold an Atlas stone and pick it up and place it over something. If you're using the appropriate weight, that's good for movement,
It just, you have to be smart about it because, it's strong, man. So they're going to push it very, very hard. And some of those injuries you might not ever be able to get rid of them completely.
Some of the stuff for strongman is just so heavy.
That's true.
And what they're asked to do is so heavy.
Yeah.
I remember going to Derek Poundstone's gym in Connecticut, and Derek was a really crazy strong United States strongman guy. And I went to just looking at something. I was like, oh, let me just kind of see, like, let me try to pick this up. And I tried to pick it up, and he's like, that's 640, like I didn't even start working out yet. I just saw something. I was like, oh, that looks kind of neat. And I'll try to pick it up. And it didn't budge, of course, because anyway, he showed me how to do it with like technique, and I was able to move it around a little bit. But the kind of weights that these guys are asked to do is absolutely insane. It's unbelievable how strong they are. But in terms of longevity, I think the ability to do some of these movements would be great as you get older. But again, kind of like wrestling, it's kind of hard to figure out how to.
Really hard.
Yeah, really hard to like get a hold of some of these things. If you could do some strongman, I think it would get a really high rating for its ability to help people live longer and be stronger and have more muscle mass. But I got to give it like a 3 just because the access is kind of hard.
3?
Yeah.
All right. That's a 3.8, which is actually a very high score. I think that would put it right there with calisthenics. And powerlifting. What did powerlifting have? Powerlifting had a 4, so it's right on right. Yeah. Strongman. Good.
Some people listening might think it's lame that I'm kind of referencing just the ability to go do something, but I think it's a big factor.
It is.
Huge.
It is. Like when you were talking about wrestling, like it's hard to find a wrestling club as an adult. Usually wrestling clubs are like for college students and youth.
Yeah.
There are no like adult wrestling clubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you don't want to be the weird guy hanging out at high school in your jock strap.
I'm just here to wrestle with the kids. Yes.
All right, boys. Who wants some rounds of? Anyways,
that's not. Oh Lord.
Walking, rucking.
Walking and rucking. Yo.
Building muscle.
Building muscle. It could be. I'd say 2.5.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Building muscle.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking like I don't know. Sorry, just throwing the first thing that came to mind. Like Navy SEALs are pretty jacked, but they do more than just rucking. So 2.5 is fair.
Yeah. We had calisthenics at 2.5. Yo, 2.
2.
Yeah. All right. Losing fat. Walking adds up.
Could be great, especially with the added weight.
Amazing for losing fat. I'd say 5.
I can't argue.
It's part of all our habits.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why. It's like if you don't walk, you're usually fairly sedentary, and that shit adds up.
Damn, did rucking just get okay? Keep going.
Yeah, let's give that baby a 5.
Rucking is something that all of us should be doing, I think.
Yeah.
It's just kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of annoying to do it.
Just throw a weight vest on and take a walk. We've talked about it before. It's so good for you.
Hold some tomato cans as you walk.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, you'll get my weight vest back from Casey. He has it.
He stole it.
Yeah. He liked it.
He likes working, wearing it all the time, right?
He wears a 40-pound vest while working and walking around in a warehouse, peeps.
Wild.
And he's like 52 or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Longevity?
5.
Yeah. Damn. That's why I was like, wow, rucking just got boosted.
That gives it a score of a 4.
4 on the diggity dot.
4 on the dot. Damn, 4 on the dot. So actually, no, it's right there, right by powerlifting.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, 4.1 to 5 would be
okay.
there.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
You know, an interesting thing with something like rucking is that you could scale it up to where you use heavy weights. So the impact that it has on muscle growth could even be higher.
It could. Rucking, yes.
Rucking might get a 5 straight across the fucking board just because, and again, everyone has access to it. It's just like put some weight on, go for a walk, and maybe at first you only deal with 10% of your body weight, and maybe do that for 6 months, and then maybe you progress to having more and more weight over time.
All right,
it's
so
unlimited.
We had it at muscle building at a 2. But obviously, you can add more weight, and that shit, that adds load.
But we're talking about just walking, right?
It says walking / rucking, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, walking, rucking. I meant walking with a
weight
vest on.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking, like, well, if you
backpack or
drop down and did some push-ups, but that's not what we're talking about.
No. But a lot of times when people are rucking, they're also on a trail. So a lot of times they're going like up and down hills and like, I don't know. It's pretty brutal.
Are they bicep curling when they're doing that, though?
No, but like you could be carrying something. I mean, that could be a form of rucking. but normally just like a backpack or a weighted vest.
A weighted vest. Have you walked with like a weighted
No,
vest?
I'm not disagreeing that it can build muscle, but again, on this tier list, if we're gonna say it's about the same as natural bodybuilding or bodybuilding in general,
natural bodybuilding is at a 5. But remember, this is
Like, what would we say with dragging a sled? You know, like dragging a sled would probably be pretty high in terms of like gaining muscle, right? Just because of the variables and how many you can pull it forward, you can pull it backwards. I think rucking, like muscle wise, like should be pretty high because again, you can wear quite a bit of weight, and I just don't see how your body wouldn't respond both muscularly and also from a bone density standpoint.
Yeah. When you think of everything that has to stay stable, number one, like your core is going to have to stay stable as you're moving. Each leg that you're picking up, whether you have 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds on your body, you're going to have to become better at doing that. So you'll be building some muscle all over while doing something like that, even though you're not bicep curling, right? So it could build a decent amount of muscle just by walking. I'd bump that up to, because we had it at a 2, walking / rucking. What do you guys think? Well, you said 5.
I can't go above a 4.
Can't go above a 4.
Sounds good to me.
4? All right, let's do 4.
All right, so then that puts it at
4, 5, 9. Let's see, 4 turnover 3.
carry the 1.
4.6. 4.6. And it's accessible to everybody. It's below, it's right there. So I think that does make sense. It's accessible to everybody. All you have to do is grab a vest. It's something anybody can do. It's fucking solid. Yeah. Plus, guys, remember, this is the average of longevity, building muscle, and losing fat. So that's how this is ranked. We have one last thing. Power Project family, shut your fucking mouth. We've been talking about breathing through your nose and nasal breathing during your sleep for the past 5 years. That's why we've partnered with Hostage Tape. It's the best tape on the market, sticks to your face even if you have a beard. So head to hostagetape.com/powerproject and you'll be able to get a year's supply of tape for 55 cents a day. That shit saves you $150. It's a no-brainer. Links in the description and the podcast show notes. Enjoy the show.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
BJJ. Okay, for building muscle. For building muscle.
I'm not biased or anything, but like 10.
I mean, there is the factor of you are working against the weight of somebody else. You do have to, even if you only did jiu-jitsu, and you should definitely lift when you do jiu-jitsu, but if you're only doing jiu-jitsu, you would be building, if you came from doing nothing, you'd build muscle because you'd have to get better at dealing with the body weight of another individual and moving around the body weight of another person. But would it build as much muscle as other stuff? I'd give it maybe I'd give it a 2.5.
Sounds reasonable. Sounds like it would be a little bit like wrestling, but wrestling's a little different because wrestling's maybe a little bit more static.
Wrestling, you have
like you pull on each other a little bit more and stuff, right?
With jiu-jitsu, obviously there's the gi and the no gi. No gi jiu-jitsu would be a little bit more like wrestling because there's so much more movement. But in the gi, there's aspects where like, there's a lot of isometric holding, but it's a little bit slower, right? You don't have to do all the takedowns that they typically do in wrestling, right? And you don't need to be super explosive to be good at jiu-jitsu either, because like there's a lot of holding in these areas. But all wrestlers almost are fairly explosive. Not all jiu-jitsu athletes are explosive. So
you can slow down.
Wrestling.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, we had wrestling at 4. Yeah, jiu-jitsu at a 2.5 makes sense. Losing fat,
It's huge.
Yeah, I'd say 5, right?
Yeah.
I'd say 5. Like,
There
are some big jiu-jitsu people, but if you're doing it and you're training, like you'll be putting a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
You'll be losing a lot of you'll be burning a lot of calories. So you guys say 5.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd put it at a 4. I mean, I know you do burn a lot of calories, but like the ability to just be lazy, right? Like you could
be lazy on all of these though.
You could be lazy in all of these, but like a lot of like when I see a lot of people do jiu-jitsu, it's like there's a lot of holding certain areas. There's a lot of there. I mean, you do want to be you want to play it well, but a lot of people like will hold like half guard.
It looks when you watch competition, it looks lazy. Competition kind of looks lazy. Like one guy will just like lay down on his back, and you're like, "What is he doing?" I mean, I know what they're doing, but you kind of looks lazy.
Yeah, I'd put it at a 4.
4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll meet you halfway.
Andrew has his jujitsu bias.
You ever
kicking
seen the
in.
wrestling
Not
kid?
even.
I know.
You ever see the wrestling kid that just starts down on the ground?
100%.
You ever see that guy?
Yeah.
The wrestling kid, what?
He gets like on his knees.
Yeah,
right?
there's a wrestling kid who's just like starts down and he just fucks
And he's
everybody
I
up.
know
fucking everyone up.
A young guy. I want to
saw
say
this
he's like high
recently.
school guy.
Yeah, I
He's
saw.
like changing the game, man.
I saw a clip of this dude recently.
I
Actually,
think I might have shared it with you guys. It was like
Mhm.
boggled my mind.
one second. Let me pull this up for you guys real quick. I want you to see this because he is trained by. Oh, is it this guy too?
Mhm.
There's probably more than one guy doing it, but this is the first I've ever heard of.
Like he just drops down,
Yeah, he just stays down there.
and people
Guys.
are so confused.
Yeah, there's this guy. Andrew, after you see this, pull up Mr. Fast Twitch on Instagram
Mm.
because there's something you got to see there.
You don't usually see that with wrestling where somebody starts down. You know, you've only seen it from the guy. You know, there's some athletes that, you know, are missing a leg or something like that that start obviously lower, but it's interesting that that guy implemented that.
Mm-hmm. AJ for I didn't see it.
Yeah, Mr. Fast Twitch, AJ Ferrari, and it is God. Which video? is
Cool
it?
name.
Yeah, this dude. I saw this clip of him, and ooh, is it far down?
I hope not.
He's fast.
He like
Oh,
he
there's
was doing
Zercher
some of these.
squat.
Like a Ferrari.
He was doing some of these fucking takedowns
Whoa.
off of his knees, but I won't be able to find it. We're gonna have to do too much digging. Check this guy's page out. He's pretty wild. He's pretty wild. Now for jiu-jitsu, the last thing is longevity. This is the thing. I think that jiu-jitsu can have a very high level of longevity, but like it's very easy to get yourself just like stupid injuries in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if you're stubborn and you let an arm bar hold a little bit too long because didn't want to tap, you tear a pec. If you don't tap to something, like you could rip a knee. I think it's great for your body and great for longevity, but like in practicality, human error comes in. So because of that, I'd have to give it a 3.
Yeah, you're trying to like fight each other, kind of in a way, right?
Yeah, it is out of all the martial arts in terms of doing it for a long time. I think it is the safest if you're smart about how you go about it. You know, like no matter how smart you are with boxing, you get hit in the head a lot. It's not
Right.
good for you. Jiu-jitsu, just tap early, cool. But like human error, you know, pride, all that shit comes in. And for most people, a little bit shit here happens. But like, what do you think, Andrew?
I think I think you're trying to play it safe to not be biased, but
I've just seen too many people fuck themselves up through the years.
I've seen like some like very skilled people do that as well. It's tough because the way I feel about it right now, like I do feel like I could do it forever.
Same.
And I've seen many older people, you know, on the mats and you know, they come and go and they do talk about injuries and stuff, but they're still doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
But I get what you're saying though, because like just human error. But like, is that the human's fault or is that jiu-jitsu's fault?
That's the human's fault.
So I understand it's like one in the same, like it's a whole. I can't give it anything less than a 4.
Let's give it a 4.
Okay.
All right, so that gives jiu-jitsu a 3.6. And that would put it below strongman and calisthenics. Put it below calisthenics.
I would say with almost like with a large majority of these things, if you don't compete in them, if you don't compete in them, it will probably raise up the level of longevity.
Absolutely.
But if you start to listen to the beat of other drums that are going off, and that's how the Boston Marathon felt for me. Watching other people pass me and just the noise of it and the energy that was there was really awesome and unbelievable. But it would have been really easy to like go to the beat of somebody else's drum. But I knew that wasn't what I needed to do. And I think it's easy to get caught up in that in jiu-jitsu and these other things. And jiu-jitsu seems like a real tough one because a lot of times it seems like you're starting out at a similar time as somebody else. And then how do you, especially that guy that's like maybe similar age, or maybe the guy's even like, you know, like an older guy, he started the same time as you, and you're like, man, he's a little quicker on that. And he's like, it's got to be, I dealt with that in pro wrestling. You see these guys are super athletic. They could do all kinds of crazy stuff. And you're just like, at some point, I think you have to kind of settle into like knowing your own, staying in your own lane, running your own race. And you got to just keep telling yourself that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's not about them, it's about you. And you got to keep reminding yourself of that. So I think all of these sports that we mentioned, they can all be very safe if you're able to stay in your own lane, if you don't compete. Like MMA, like imagine just training MMA, like that's super healthy.
Yes.
That's great. And yeah, if you're okay, you do have another opponent, you are, practicing with somebody else, so you can hurt each other. But if you're doing it for exercise and doing it to like kind of learn, maybe how to defend yourself, protect yourself a little bit, you don't have to go crazy to be able to get better at that,
Yeah. Like with jiu-jitsu, I think every guy should do it. That's just, that is my personal bias. And I think you can be really safe when doing it. It's just, there's too many emotional factors that come in. You got to be like, you have to get to a point where like you're okay with losing, you're okay with tapping, you're okay with submitting when you need to submit, because the kind of person that wants to go in there and be like, I will never lose, I will never submit, is the person that will tear their knee to shreds and fuck themselves up because they were just too prideful to call it. Like it not only does it test your body and help you out, it also tests your ego. And if your ego's here and you're trying to learn something where you can get broken, you will get broken, right? But if you can tame that, it's great for anybody getting older. Andrew, you and I, we're going to be doing this till we're older because we understand that. But you go into it and you don't understand that, and if you got a huge ego and you don't want to lose, you're going to say jiu-jitsu fucked me up.
Seems like it could be really frustrating. Like you see the guys in basketball, they get tangled up, and next thing you know, they're having words and they're like fighting. Yeah. And I would just imagine, like from what you guys described before, it seems sometimes demoralizing. The way that someone can just like own you. And in those situations, I would imagine like you almost like the guy is so much better than you that it is almost irrelevant. But when you're a little closer to somebody and they, throw an elbow a little bit, kind of into the mix because they don't know how to do anything else, they need to like fucking kind of cheat, or they use their nails or some weird dirty shit that probably makes you mad. And when you're both not like super high level, I can imagine like, you just get frustrated and you just want to like fucking smash the guy probably, but you kind of can't, right? So then you get your shit busted up.
I think it self-regulates. Like if I go in and Nsima's destroying me and I somehow manage to get into some sort of a position where I can cover his mouth or do something dirty like that, that's going to be the last time I do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it self-regulates, but it also, I think what you're talking about, like with basketball, people start throwing elbows and then it starts elevating and it gets to that point to where they're both throwing a tantrum and they want to fight each other. It's like, well, you're starting kind of fighting already, and you don't, it's like the dick measuring contest ends very quick because you're like, oh, he's better than me and I'm going to tap and we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the end of that story.
Yeah, but I think you're going to get hurt probably more if you're a little more even, right? Like, and you start to get...
Oh, yeah.
You start to get flustered or frustrated with the guy you're rolling with, right?
Yeah, the only times I've ever gotten injured was with another white belt, and that's just because I'm like, well, his guillotine's not really in. Like, I can get out of this, and, you pop your head out, but then it's like, oh, fuck, dude, my neck's kind of jacked up now. Versus if it's a brown belt or something, I'm like, oh, wait, let me see where this goes. And, yep, I'm tapping now, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Let us know what you guys think about this tier list.
Let us know where we're fucking stupid, because I have a feeling that like, what? Someone's going to say something.
This is a 3-factor tier list. This is actually very, there's a lot of nuance.
And I like how the combat sports are all like kind of lined up together. Well, let me do it like this. Oh, bam. Because that just proves that like our system worked out pretty good.
Wait up, Andrew, what the fuck did you just do? Did you just fuck things up?
No, I didn't. I just do it like that real quick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, remember, this is a 3-factor tier list. So building muscle, losing fat, and longevity are all averaged into our judgment of these, right? So
yeah, it's science-based.
Science-based, guys. We used maths. All right.
Take us on out of here, Andrew.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for checking out this episode. Again, drop those comments down below. Follow the podcast at MB Power Project all over the place. My Instagram's at I am Andrew Z. And Nsima, where you at?
Discord's down below, guys. Check it out. Q&A coming soon, probably next week at Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, at Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. Mark.
I'm at Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch you guys later. Bye.